Hey guys, how's it going? This is Doug. I just want to talk to you today about a New York illustration that I did, or a painting, I should, digital painting, I really should say. This one was a little fun. I've done the Phelan building in San Francisco, which is a flatiron building, very famous, similar to the one in New York. This time I decided to do the Flatiron building in New York, and this one was a lot of fun. I used a variety of brushes, and I wanted to share with you the process that I used for this. So as you can see, I started out with some very simple shapes on here, and what I did was I went through and I just started out with a monotone color, and I'm just building out simple shapes. And I found that as long as I could get the position of the Phelan building the right way, then everything would fall into place. I did crop in a little bit and move it up a little, and that helped out some. And then once I got the position, then that's where I start adding my color. And one of the things that I had a lot of fun with, I'm just looking at it here, I had a lot of fun because I've been making my own brushes and with old newsprint, especially some vintage Japanese newsprint. And I found that this was really wonderful to make texture, to create windows and patterns that would take me a lot longer to do if I were to hand draw them. So using these newsprint brushes I found very helpful. This one I spent a lot of time on, and one of the things that I did about halfway through, I decided is that I want wet streets. I love wet streets. I love the reflections in the wet streets. And I said, okay, let's imagine that maybe there was a thunderstorm that just passed through, and at this point, the streets are saturated, but it's a nice sunny day, so you wanted to create that effect. The photo reference I had for that did not have wet streets; they were dry. So I wanted to go ahead and do that. So I found that this was a little bit of pushing around to get it for the right feel. I used a variety of brushes to smooth, hard, and soft edges. I think the hardest thing was really to get the crosswalks in the right way. Those were tough, and to get those puddles where the sky is reflecting, as well as getting the buildings reflecting, but not to be overly done. That's kind of the hard thing there. The other things that I had a lot of fun with working with the gridiron or the flatiron building, I should say, was the warmth reflection on one side of the building versus that shadow casting from the other side. Those were fun, and just little details here and there, adding cars and turning them into taxis. I had recently found some. I recently found some photos of New York City, and I did a small study, and it was amazing to see how many yellow taxis there were back then. It was 20 years ago that I was there, and when I see photos of New York streets now, I don't see as many yellow taxis. I guess it's an Uber thing or a Lyft thing or combo. I wanted to make sure I had some taxis in there, or at least one taxi in there. And at this point, when I finally get the gist of everything, that's when I start adding the light poles. The light poles and the details, those are the fun part. This is where I like to talk about having a good foundation. So when I'm doing these digital paintings, I always want to make sure that I have a good foundation before I start adding details. It's kind of like a sundae. You have the bananas, you have the 3 scoops of ice cream. Once you have that, that's your foundation. And then from there, you build on, add the syrup, add the toppings, the nuts, the whipped cream, and then the cherry on the top. And that's kind of how I approach a lot of my paintings, is to start out with, the foundation versus go straight into the details. It wasn't easy for me to get into this rhythm, but once I did, I found that it was a lot more easier for me to do. Oh, look, added another taxi there. How cool. Um, And playing around with these windows was another fun thing as well, without literally drawing every single window. That's maddening. I applaud anybody who wants to draw every single window in one of these scenes, but I can't do it. So I have found that a lot of these brushes that I've made from newsprint really come in handy with this. And so yeah, just wanted to share with you a little bit of insight on an additional insight to how I do my digital paintings and how I approach them. I hope you like the finished product. I thought it came out really good, and yeah. And if I get back to New York sometime, I'd love to take another shot at the buildings around this area of New York City, because there's so many of them. But this is one that I've always wanted to do. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you had a lot of fun. Stay tuned for more. I'm running out of words here, right? But yes, please sign up for my YouTube, subscribe, go to my website, liquidmethod.com, to see more of my work. You can also follow me on Instagram, also at Liquid Method. Thank you again for tuning in. Happy painting, and I will see you soon. Later.